Welcome back to Law Factor Live. Thank you so much for being with us. And yes, of course, all your answers are pouring in, but I would just like to let you know that we are having some technical difficulties in terms of our wireless, but we are receiving them. I'm not able to read everything out to you, so keep them coming. But if you're sending me emails and so on and so forth, if you don't hear me talk about them tonight, I will ensure that they go on the website, on our Facebook page tomorrow. Okay, now I'm going to remind you again of our giveaways tonight. Name 4 Fairings Dairy flavors we've mentioned at any time on Law Factor Live. Okay, to win a hat from Valmore, tell us which of their Castries branches open on a Sunday. Okay, to win this wonderful supplement, a women's supplement from Organica, name the DBS TV feature hosted by the managing director of Organica and DFL sponsor Candy Nicholas Bowen. To win a dress creation from Wilhelmina, tell us how many children does she have, what's the name of her store, and where is it located. All right, now we're here, we're talking about Mother's Day. And also, when we talk about Mother's Day, we always celebrate it and we buy mom all different types of things. But let's talk about mothers in general. I mean, what would you say is this is a big question, Wilhelmina. I mean, we went to school together, and we didn't think at those days, well, we're going to have children. We were just trying to get on with life and study, and that was the important thing then, yes, to study and get our achievements. And then we become mothers. Do you think that a mother is, or female or woman, can naturally become a mother?
Not really. I mean, every woman can give birth to a child, but then it's not a natural thing to be a mother. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's after giving birth to a child, to me, it transforms you. You automatically get, start feeling this love for this person you brought into this world. But then for some reason, not everybody feels that way. Mm-hmm. Not every woman who gives birth to a child feels that way.
Yeah, and sometimes I have to say this carefully, because when I say it's not their fault, a lot of viewers might say, what are you talking about? A mother should naturally love their child. But sometimes women go through other things, mm-hmm. They go through postnatal depression for whatever reason. Sometimes, they have children and they feel scared about bringing up that child on their own. Sometimes they feel that the child would bridge the gap if there was, relationship problems. There are lots of things.
And things like resentment for the father, they pass it on to the child. I mean, which shouldn't be, mm-hmm. but then it happens. I mean, it's human nature sometimes, mm-hmm. Cause that.
But as much as possible, if we can, and if it's possible, if we see anyone who's going through something like that, we should try and support them and help them. And I think the maternal feeling should be there, because I think we don't realize until we become mothers how maternal we really are.
Yeah, I mean, this love for another human being comes from nowhere. I mean, it's a natural thing,
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Describe the love you have for your 2 sons. I just wanted to describe it. How does it feel to love your children?
I would give up my life for them. That's how I see it. I mean, if
viewers, I don't know if you can see her eyes are starting to water, because her eyes are starting to water.
If Jesus were to come and say, who should go now, your children or you? I would say, I will go, and just leave them.
Yeah.
That's how it's your children are an extension of yourself, mm-hmm. so you cannot love yourself more than you love them. It has to be the same or even more. Mm-hmm. That's the way I see it.
Is your mother still alive?
Yes, my mother is still alive.
Okay, now what if you had to have that choice now?
Well, the thing is, I didn't grow up with my mother, so I can't really, I grew up with my father, mm-hmm. so I cannot really talk about that, because I didn't grow up with her.
Okay, and I suppose that's a different type of feeling, because we must have viewers out there who are in a similar situation to you, and different ones in terms of they know they have a mother and perhaps they're not with their mother for whatever reasons. Some of our viewers perhaps have lost their mothers and didn't get the opportunity to get to know them. There are all different kind of definitions of the relationships that we have or we don't have with our mothers. And I suppose when Mother's Day comes around, although the majority of us will be celebrating or feeling happy things, there are some people as well who aren't thinking or feeling happy things.
Well, the person, it doesn't have to be your mother. I have an aunt that I'm very close to. I mean, on Mother's Day, I probably go and see her, and I mean, she's almost like a mother to me. I mean, it doesn't have to be your own mother, but somebody who plays a very important role in your life. You know, a lady who plays a very important role in your life. It doesn't have to be your biological mother. You know.
When do you think is there a great age to be a mother? When do you think that you come into your own and that you know, sometimes when you're a young mother, you're not sure perhaps what you're doing?
I don't think any young lady should have a child before the age of 25.
Wow.
Because let me tell you, I mean, from 20 in your early 20s, you are finding yourself, you are looking for a career. I mean, you're trying to establish yourself. To bring a child into the picture is retarding you, and then you don't have enough time to give to this child. I mean...
But do you say that because when you were younger, you had ambitions? You had ambitions to open your store, which is called...
Yeah,
which is
Wilhelmina's Designs.
And it's located on...
45 Brazil Street.
Because you wanted to have a future for your... How many children?
My 2 children.
Right. You were listening to that, viewers, okay?
I mean, you have to set a base for the children because you have to think of their education. I mean, if you start very young, I mean, it sort of retards your progress. You have to set a base, I had my home before I started having children. I mean, I had a home to put them in. I mean, you don't start having children and then you have to be bringing them to your mothers and, this and that. I mean, you have to be stable. They have to be stable. But you have to be prepared. Okay,
we can say that if we can forward plan. But what if we are already in that situation? Because of course in St. Lucia we know there are a lot of mothers who haven't planned. They have the children and they love the children dearly, And do you think it makes them a lesser mother?
No, you do what you have to do. I mean, you work with the situation you're in. You try to make the best of it. You try to make the best of it. What happens sometimes when you start having children so young and you realize, oh boy, I need a future. And then you leave them behind and you decide, okay, I'm going to go away to make a future for my children. This is a no-no. You leave the children behind to go and look for a future. This is a no-no.
Why would you say that? Because it happens so often.
Okay, you leave the children behind, you go to wherever, United States, Canada, to look for a future. You leave the children behind. The bond between you and that child gets broken, especially if you leave them for free to over 3 years. And some of these bonds, it cannot be mended. When that bond between mother and child is broken, it cannot be mended. This is a mistake a lot of us make. We see it as a way out, but it's not a good thing to do. To leave your children behind to say you're going and look for a better life.
But a long time ago, viewers watching now may disagree with you. They may say it's the only option they had because they felt that remaining here, perhaps they didn't have the opportunities that were given to them, because sometimes other family members say, if you come, you'll be able to do X, Y, Z. So they felt that the future would be better for the children, So we have that to look at. And what about if you're leaving your children with their grandparents? They are your parents. You would trust them more than anyone in the world, or you think they're the better people to look after your children?
Grandparents tend to spoil children, and when they are spoiled, it's very little you can do to really put them back on the right track. I agree, sometimes you have to go away to look for a better life, but you don't forget the children. You bring them up wherever you go to as soon as possible.
Well, viewers, I think that you've heard very strong views from Wilhelmina Auguste. I didn't even know she had those kind of views, and I've known you for how many years? It's been quite a long time.
I mean, from school days.
Are we giving away our age now? Stop. But, I think that it's something that we have to think about carefully as mothers, because there is such a thing as loving your children too much. If you love your child too much, then there is a danger that your children will not be able to fend for themselves later on in life. And they may even take you for granted when they're all settled or whatever. They're still coming home to mommy to clean and to cook and all those kind of things,
You love them, but you have to give them space. I mean, you can't be doing everything for the child. The child will be, you know, a hopeless person, can't do anything for themselves. Or, you know, everything they do is right, you don't correct them, you are creating a monster. I mean, you have to correct them when they are wrong. I'm not saying you have to beat up on them, but you talk to them. I mean, you make them understand. Some people seem to think you have to beat up on children to make them understand, but you can talk to them. I mean, they have understanding. You talk to them.
Okay.
You know?
Now, let's look at the kind of positive, happy things about being a mom. What are the happy or positive things for you? If someone says being a mom for you makes you happy because?
I spent a lot of time with my children, taking care of them. I mean, this really gave me pleasure, seeing them growing up, you know, taking pictures at different stages. I mean, you know, from babies when they started walking, when they started talking. I mean, and in school, their achievements, and they make you proud. I mean, it's really nice being a mother
And
for me.
Yeah, and I suppose when you think of having your children, like any relationship, the good should outweigh the bad. I mean, no one's perfect, and there are going to be moments when you think, oh my gosh, you know.
Oh yes, there are moments, but then, you know, you have to know what to do. Yeah.
As a mother, what would you say? I'm sure you have many of them, but does something stick out as one of the proudest moments of your life of being a mother?
Well, my children's graduation, especially the younger one. I mean, he got so many awards. I mean, he's made me. I mean, things he do. In fact, the way I brought up my two boys, the way they turned out. I mean, sometimes I say, boy, I have to thank God. I mean, especially boys these days, you know, it's so easy for them to go astray. Sometimes I look back and I tell myself, I was very involved with business, and how did I manage to, you know, bring up two boys the right way? You know, they've done very well. You know, I'm proud of myself the way, you know. I don't mean to boast, but, you know.
Well, you know, a lot of mothers, they feel that way. You know, we all think that we love our sons and our daughters more than you do as a mother. You know, every mother feels, you know, that kind of love. I know that sometimes our children don't turn out to be the way that we would like them to be, but it doesn't make us love them any less, if that makes sense. Because even if you have a child that's doing wrong or bad, you don't just stop loving them because you may not like them doing bad, but you don't just stop loving them. And some people perhaps may disagree with that.
You do what you have to do for your child, and hoping that it will turn out that, you know, it will pay off. You know, they love you back the same way, you know, that kind of thing. I mean,
understood.
Was it last week?
Can I just stop you there, because we'll go into the last week's story in a second.
Okay.
This is Delo Factor Live on DBS. We'll be right back, and don't forget all those questions. We're waiting for your answers.